For 18 long years, the Israelites suffered under the heavy burden of their oppressors. Once again, they had rejected the ways of the Lord and had committed acts of wickedness in his eyes. Because of their evil decisions, God had allowed them to be conquered by Eglon, the king of Moab. Eglon was a cruel ruler, a man who'd grown fat and arrogant on the riches he had plundered from his many conquests. After capturing Jericho, the city of palm trees, he had forced the Israelites to pay him tribute, keeping them firmly under his thumb. But after 18 years, the Israelites could not bear this torment any longer, and their cries of desperation rose to heaven. In his mercy, God heard the prayers of his people and chose a deliverer from among them to save them from Eglon's tyranny. The chosen man was Ehud, a Benjamite who was also left-handed. Although he did not know it yet, this special trait would soon be his greatest advantage. When the time came for Israel to pay their tribute to Eglon, Ehud stepped forward with a cunning plan, blessed by God, to free his people and assassinate the wicked king with a single blow. Knowing he would only have one chance to strike, Ehud prepared carefully for his mission. He crafted a unique dagger, sharp and double-edged, about 18 inches long, small enough to hide, but lethal enough to do its job effectively. Strapping this weapon to his right thigh, Ehud concealed the dagger with his clothing, cleverly anticipating that since most warriors were right-handed and hid weapons on their left side, nobody would look for a weapon to be hidden there. At last the day of the tribute arrived, and Ehud led the nervous group who were tasked with presenting the offering to King Eglon in person. The Moabite palace was grand and opulent, filled with the sounds of feasting and laughter. Eglon himself sat gleefully on his throne, a lazy, corpulent man who took every opportunity to indulge himself in the rich lifestyle he maintained through the suffering of others. Bowing low, the Israelites quietly presented their tribute, seemingly submissive on the outside, but their hearts pounding with determination and hope. After the tribute was delivered, Ehud and his group left the palace. But Ehud had no intention of leaving his task unfinished. As they reached the stone quarries near Gilgal, he dismissed his companions and turned back alone, ready to face death if need be to complete his mission. Ehud returned to the palace and requested a private audience with the king. With a steady voice that betrayed no hint of his intention, he said, "I have a secret message for you, O king." Intrigued, Eglon took the bait. "Leave us," he said to his attendants, who drifted away, leaving only Ehud and the king in the chamber. The atmosphere grew heavy, and Eglon waited impatiently to receive whatever gift or tribute he assumed would be coming his way. As Ehud walked closer to the king, he leaned in and murmured, "I bring you a message from God." These words were not what Eglon expected to hear, and he rose from his throne, feeling uneasy for the first time. The moment King Eglon stood, Ehud acted swiftly. Like a lion pouncing on its prey, he reached for the dagger with his left hand, drew it from his hiding place, and plunged it deep into Eglon's belly. The blade pierced the king's flesh, sinking in so deep that the fat closed over the hilt, burying it within him. Ehud attempted to retrieve the dagger, but to no avail, and Eglon collapsed, his lifeless mass slumping to the ground. filling the room with a triumphant silence. Wasting no time, God's assassin locked the doors of the upper chamber to delay the discovery of the king's body and made his daring escape through a secret passage. Eglon's servants waited outside, unaware of what had happened and hesitant to disturb their notoriously short-tempered master. Assuming that he was relieving himself in his private chamber, they dared not disturb him in this vulnerable moment, and by the time Eglon's corpse was found, Ehud was long gone. He fled to the hill country of Ephraim, where he sounded a trumpet to rally the Israelites. In a voice filled with urgency and hope, he cried, "Follow me, for the Lord has delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hands." Inspired by Ehud's leadership and courage, the Israelites gathered their strength and followed him into the fords of the Jordan River. There, they blocked the Moabites' escape route and launched a fierce attack on their foes. In the battle that followed, the Israelites struck down 10,000 of Moab's strongest warriors, leaving not a single man alive to tell the tale. On that day, God delivered Israel from the oppression of Moab, and the land enjoyed peace and safety for 80 long years. Ehud, the left-handed assassin, became a symbol of God's salvation, freeing the nation of Israel through his faith, courage, and obedience.